welcome to Afternoons with Ems. We meet every Thursday at 1 o'clock, unless I tell you that it's not at that time and a different day, which might be coming up because summer is happening.
Oh yeah, are you going to change for summer? You have the same schedule?
I think I'm going to have the same schedule, except for I might next week need to be on a different day because it's half day for my kids.
Oh, okay.
So just stay tuned.
Unless it's Afternoon with Ems and the kids.
Yeah.
Ooh, no.
I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how that situation. I mean, I think they'd be great. Mm-hmm. Tristan, all he wants is his own YouTube channel in his life, so he might be totally there for it. And Rosie would probably start like belting out show tunes. So I mean, they would probably think it was fabulous, but I don't know if it would really be like, you know, the personal growth work I want to happen.
Okay.
What we're all about here at Best Next Step. So
yes.
For those of you who don't know, this is my friend Corina Tripon. She is a growth coach and runs a company called Ginger Root and is just a complete, I think, OG in the growth coaching space and a great friend. So I'm so excited to have her on today and talk about all the things growth coaching.
I'm so excited to be here. And honestly, I was thinking, I wonder if people are like, you guys can just go live to get can join live, and we know that that's an option.
Yes.
But I love that. I mean, my time in Spokane is almost up, and I kind of love that I get to be in the studio.
She's in the studio.
I'm in
the
studio.
Official studio of Best Next Step. I get that you can go live, but I think that there's something chemical that happens when you actually share space with people.
Yeah.
And I know that I am my best in person connecting, and I think I just wanted to. This is just how I want to do it.
Yeah,
I want people to come to my house and talk in my little show.
Yes.
My little once a week show.
I love it. I love it. And you make amazing coffee. So thank you.
Yeah, we're having a little afternoon pick me up. Maybe afterwards we'll have some champagne. Just have to see.
Gotta balance it out.
We gotta balance. Yeah, they got a little caffeine and then take us down. Okay, so I want you to tell everyone how you stepped into growth coaching and just a little bit about who you are.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Corina, and I'm a mama of 2 little boys. I've been married for 12 years I got it right, Brandon, 12 years? I think, pretty sure, 12 years. This summer, and I got into growth coaching, I think, in ways similar to how everybody else gets into entrepreneurship. Whoa. I was unhappy where I was at. I had a really cool job. I think that was one of my biggest indicators. My job was really cool and really fun and super flexible and kind of pseudo entrepreneur-like, but I was still unhappy. And I think out of your discomfort and out of your pain, it'll motivate you to do something different. And I really had to look around and be like, why are you so unhappy? Why aren't you satisfied in this job that you're doing, that you love? What's missing for you? And that's what kind of started to instigate me. That was a catalyst for me really digging in and asking myself, what would you do? If you could do anything, what is it that you could do? So I took a piece of what I was doing in my current role, which I loved, was so life-giving, but it was kind of like this random role, and that gave me access to kind of coach women in a way. And I said, what if I could do this, more of this? And that again was like another small piece to my puzzle. But essentially it was because I was uncomfortable and I was unhappy, and out of that unhappiness I started to ask myself questions and get curious.
See, and that's really what I think Best Next Steps, the foundation for me was in all the different places of my life, where have I been uncomfortable and what are the steps you start taking where you think, I loved how I felt here, or I loved what this did for me, or I loved after I did these few things where I saw the growth happen. And then I feel like that's the motivator that helps you step into something else.
Yeah.
So did you know right away, you decided you were going to do this, you got your first clients, were you like, yes, I am here for it right away? I mean, did you get that affirmation right away? Or were you like, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but how was that moment?
Yeah, I think it took me a while I think once you start asking yourself hard questions and looking for that best next step, there's a process to really refining and getting clear on what you truly are desiring to do. And my desire was to impact women's lives through me speaking truth and empowerment through, like, I wanted to just like understand where they were at, understand their pain points. And one thing that I've done really well throughout my whole life is discern and speak truth. And so I thought, if I could do more of this, that would be really cool. So that piece I was confident on, but everything else was a complete trial and error. So my first this is gonna be my first phase of Ginger Root was me being a yoga instructor, teaching yoga classes to women and then speaking empowerment over them during a yoga class. So it was kind of my like toe in the water that tested, could I do this? I'm still a certified yoga instructor, but I coach. I have one-on-one sessions or group sessions with women. Like I'm not doing that in a yoga environment whatsoever, but it was a way for me to use kind of tap into that passion and assess to see, are you on the right path? Like, does this feel like it's in alignment with you? Yes, keep going. What's the best next step?
Okay, this is just a side note. I feel like this is seriously lacking in Spokane in the fitness space. And I do think more boutique places are opening up, but like, I want to go to a class that makes me, this is why I think Peloton's been so successful.
Oh yeah.
Is because they are like, you are here for a purpose. You are like, you are showing up for your life. They make you feel like by working out, you have just done the very best thing you can do for yourself. And like, maybe you're overcoming trauma, maybe like whatever. And you just leave that class feeling like, like, you feel like that in the Wonder Woman pose. Like,
yes.
There is nothing that is going to happen to me today that I cannot show up for.
Yes.
Because I have just had the most empowering half an hour, 45 minutes, hour of my life. And that is what I loved about Holy Yoga, is that it felt like that. And I would love to speak to more gyms to say, like, engage with the women and find out their whys. Why are they there working out? Because everyone is there for a purpose. And
I think it takes like the instructor, like pour into your instructors and make sure, because I think like Peloton is an amazing example. Their instructors are like developed, like find people that are really inspiring, that have really inspiring stories, that are going to have a personal growth element, because that's what makes it so like, I will get on board for that, because I know that emotionally I'm going to get my ass kicked, and I'm also going to get physically my ass kicked, because if anyone's done a Peloton ride, like,
I know, you're leaving it all on the floor.
All of it.
And they're encouraging you. They find that way to tap in to your motivation, so you do leave it all on the floor. And you feel like you're the only, like, you're in this room with all these amazing people, but you're just watching it. Like, it's so cool.
It's cool.
Anyway, that's a little, not an ad, but that's just a little side note for Peloton. As I've been on this fitness journey, I am finding that I will specifically seek out classes that make me feel like I'm having a growth coaching session in my personal fitness. So, anyway, I'm sure I never got to do yoga with you. I keep hoping you do another one before you leave Spokane, because I'm here for it, sister. Ooh. I would go. I think you should do like a farewell yoga tour.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
And then let's have some champagne afterwards.
Well, think about it. There was typically always wine.
Yeah, that's just that's a good idea. So, okay. There is a big difference between like growth coaching and business coaching. And then I know, as I've been kind of researching this, there is specifics within those, like you can get someone to do business coaching on how to like develop your funnels or whatever. Yes. And now is there a specific area of growth coaching that you are really tuned into?
Yes.
Your genre, is that the right word? Or where your specific area that you feel like that's your best.
Yeah, my zone of genius.
Your zone, that's a better zone of genius is way better than genre. It's a new replacement for genre. Zone of genius.
You're right. There are a ton of coaches, and I think there's a lot of people that can offer you trainings on every single like email marketing, whatever, funneling, all of the things. Growth coaching is a space where you personally become developed. And what makes me unique is that we connect, I empower you through your story. It's not a matter of like, it all has to be within alignment. So looking at your story and seeing yourself, your past, as something that is empowering to you, that does not hold you back. I cultivate like a space where you as a person can become powerful in using your voice. So it's very much personal development, and it's very much mindset coaching, to where you're building belief and you're changing the way that you see yourself and that you understand yourself, and you also see your involvement with the world, your level of influence with the world. There's a switch that has to happen, a mindset switch that has to happen. And any business, whatever it is that if you want to be a cheerleading coach, or if you want to be a multimillionaire, whatever, entrepreneur, it's all the same. Your level of belief, the way that you perceive yourself in the world, the way that you perceive the world has to change. You have to be for you in your mind. And in order for you to do that, there are things that need to be you need to be disconnected from, and you need to learn how to see yourself in truth and not in insecurity and lie. So it's a lot of mindset work, and that's where you grow, and that's what changes your behavior, is when there's work done internally. It always comes out and it produces result in your business, in your life.
So is that what alignment means to you? Because I feel like alignment is something that we're hearing a lot about recently, and I think, there's obviously the blanket definition of alignment, but for you, when you say, okay, I've coached this person, I think they are the most aligned that they're going to be, I feel ready to launch them well into what's next for them. What does alignment mean to you?
Yes. So alignment to me means that you are rooted in truth of who you are. And a lot of times that's how God created you to be. So It's not rooted, your identity is not rooted in your insecurity or in your past. It's rooted in who you are and who you're created to be. And it's also giving you the power to use your voice. So you have the freedom and the understanding of what it is that you stand for, and also the power to use that voice. And you also have an understanding of your gifts. Every single person has something that they are uniquely good at. They're created with those particular, whether it's the way that you set a table, the way that you welcome people, the way that you understand numbers. There's something that is unique about you. And when you tap into that and you use it for your good and for the good of other people, you are in alignment with your purpose. So it's a matter of understanding and being empowered by your story. It's utilizing your voice, and it's aiming your gifts, being confident in your gifts for a purpose.
And don't you think that it's so important to want to step into your own story and not someone else's? And I think I think about this is, especially in this day of social media, where we get this huge glimpse into people's lives, right? That we used to not get unless they sent their Christmas card with like a bunch of pictures on it. But we see everyday glimpses into people's lives. And for those lives that look amazing, we think, I want their story.
Yes.
I think you can almost idolize different people, but I don't think that you can ever step into someone else's story and be successful unless you find a way to say, these are the things, if I really break it down, what attracts me, I'll just use an example of the bucket list family. Their life looks so amazing. This traveling the world, he sold his app, Garrett sold his app for millions of dollars, and then they traveled the world and they raised their kids in kind of an unorthodox way, and it's kind of got a rosy glow all the time, and it's just this adventure as a family but if I break it down about what I really love about them, I think it's like the closeness they have as a family and the fact that they are sharing these adventures all together. Okay, so what is that? If I want something like that, what would that mean in my own life? They're already living their life. They're, I would say, aligned in their truth with what they want to do, the goals that they have for their family. But if something about that appealed to me, how would,
where do you align? Yes. And I think we will bend ourselves to get into somebody else's alignment. And I think we see this as we do get inspired, or we get influenced by what we are watching and who we follow on Instagram. And a lot of times we'll try to bend ourselves so that we can be that person. But you're compromising your own alignment. If you just recognized you don't need to have their story, you don't need to even have their exact formula for their success. You need to honor your story and honor your gifts and root in your truth, so that you can have your own formula for your success. That's when success is in alignment and most meaningful.
Totally. And I just think like, I've heard so many people say, I want to be the next Oprah, but there was only ever one Oprah. You know, I think she did her thing in her own way. And I think she figured out a lot of her own truth and took us along for that journey as she was doing it. Because I don't think Ellen would have ever gotten to be as successful as she was if she would have tried to be Oprah. She got to be so successful by being Ellen.
Yes.
And like Jimmy Fallon got so successful being Jimmy Fallon, not by being Johnny Carson.
Yes.
You know, or Ed McMahon, all the people that
or
kind
Jay
of
Leno. Didn't he precede Jay Leno?
He did, but Jay Leno, like Carson, like they were, you know, Carson I think was kind of the OG in that field years ago. Just you don't know.
Totally.
That shows our age difference right here. Like grew up
thought
watching
you
Johnny
meant,
Carson. She doesn't even know who he
I thought
is.
you were talking about Carson Daly.
No, Johnny Carson. This is only going to appeal
Carson
to
Daly is only
anyone
like
who's
super.
40 or older. Okay, right here, because that was like. It used to be on. He was like the original Tonight Show was Johnny Carson.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. Okay.
Whenever I don't get that historical pop culture, or well, I blame it on my immigrant roots. I'm like, English is my second language. I don't know who the Beatles are. Sorry, which is not a terrible example.
No, but your parents probably
right.
were not watching Johnny Carson like mine were. So, okay. So, what do you think it is in you that really desires to partner with women and watch them step fully into who they were?
Oh,
okay, we're reconnecting. Okay, so what do you think it is in you that has that desire to? What do you really like about it?
To connect with women. I just think women are badass. Women are incredible and interesting, and I think I've always been like a nosy person by nature. So I want to know the nitty gritty. Like I just want to know. I want to know like. Women and people are so interesting. There is nothing more interesting than a human being because you have layers of ideas and issues and stories and all of those things. And so for me, when I decided, so I've been building my business for 2 years, and there was a pivotal switch that happened when I decided, hey, I'm unhappy and I'm going to take responsibility for making myself happier. Because that's what it's gonna take. I'm obviously missing something. I'm missing a piece of me, and I'm gonna go figure that out, and I'm gonna take a chance, and I'm gonna say, hey, you're worth finding out. You're worth this risk. The journey to off that cliff has been so it's been so gratifying. It's been so incredible. There's been so much grace and success and fun and relationships and love and failure and like knocking my teeth out and amazing stretching. My desire is to give that same encouragement and for that journey for other women, because you become so powerful in the best way. Like I can't describe it. There's something, being able to just own yourself and own your potential and own your journey has been so gratifying. I want this for every single woman. There's nothing really, like I can think I'm a unicorn. I do think that I'm like super guacamole and I'm all the things. I'm like extra. I was born extra. But every single woman is just as special. Like there is, every single person has something. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do. I think whether you're the most unique preschool teacher or you can knit darling little animals on Etsy, like whatever your line, you bring that to. I never want to devalue what women's certain skill is, because just because it might not be mine does not mean that that it's not so valuable and that they're not so creative in their own field. And
it's that. And I think we walk around not recognizing our own worth and not recognizing our own power. And the sad part about that is that you then don't recognize the ability that you have to influence the world like you were created to. Honestly, that's when it comes down to. It's like, if you could recognize truly your assets, if you can recognize and utilize your gifts, understand your power, you then can go out and influence the world in a massive way like you were destined and created to.
And that's when I think I find like Karina has this way of she just glows with her purpose, and you just find yourself gravitating towards her because you're like, okay, she feels so right in her own path in her life, but then you're like, well, I want to feel that right in my path in my life, and you give that to other women. That is what you put it. And I think that because you do that, so because you feel so confident that you're doing what you're like God created you to do, what you were made to do, that you are able to you get buy-in 100% right away, because they're like, look at how like strong she feels in her purpose. Like she must totally know what she's talking about, right? Like,
which I mean, I've been my own best client. Let me tell you.
Well, okay, so that's what
work.
I was going to ask. Do you growth coach yourself? Like, do you?
Okay, absolutely, in every aspect. And I think in the beginning, I thought I had to have a ton of like wisdom. I had to bank up my wisdom in order to really like adequately, expertly coach women. And I was like, listen, this is an ever evolving, like every single stage of success, you get as like alignment does not stay, you work to stay within alignment. Every level has its own set of fresh new demons and insecurities, and you have to continually be working on yourself. I also would never want to get to this place where I'm like, oh, where are my peasant clients? Like,
I've plateaued.
Let me just tell you the ways. Like, no, sister, I'm telling you the ways, and I'm telling you the importance of alignment and recognizing your gifts and using your voice, because I have been there. I've done the work to use my voice. I've gone through moments where I'm crippled in fear and insecurity, and I'm rooting in the lies about myself. Like literally last week, I rooted in the lies of myself, which meant I went down the rabbit hole of this is who I fear that I am. It had nothing to do with who I actually am and the truth of my identity and my worth. But you get very
get on the struggle bus
into that, absolutely.
For a
so
minute.
It's a matter of how do you climb out of that? What's the value of climbing out of that? What is it stopping you from? So when I am coaching clients on overcoming their insecurities and rooting in their truth, I know exactly the painful process and the amazing result that it yields.
And that's one thing I think is so important, and I really think this is the best next step. If you are reaching for growth in your life, you need to look at who is in your sphere of influence. And I think you need to deliberately seek out people who are going to help raise your game and also going to speak positivity over you and bring a lot of energy to your life. Because if you are surrounding yourself with people who are maybe they're fine with where they're at, but they don't want to see you grow, because maybe that means they would need to,
right?
And so they're maybe like, oh, well, you might not want to try that because what if you fail? You know, and I think if you continue to hear people around you like, you're going to start a business. Well, how are you going to still pick up your kids from school? Like, you're going to do this. How's that going to affect your marriage? Or how are you going to find the finances to do that? Like, I think people will stay small and comfortable. And if you're really wanting to do something big, it's really important to seek, I think, surround yourself with people who are where you want to go.
Yes. I think people project their fears onto you easily. I mean, every single day. And people that are living in their ambition and in truth will project their inspiration on you. They'll project their truth onto you because they're living in that same space. So curate your circle all the time. Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay for you to have also a circle where you're pouring in, but you recognize like, this is me pouring into my friends and I'm hoping that one day, but that's not your only circle.
Right.
You also have a circle where you're getting poured into and challenged.
And I think it's also okay at any stage of life to say, hey, I want to reach for something new.
Yeah.
Like, I am starting this and I'm in my 40s, but it's something that I have wanted to do for a long time, but I wasn't at the place where I felt like I was totally ready to step in. And I just think I think you could be 60 or 70, 80 and say, I've always wanted to try this, so I'm going to do it. And I think history is full of women who at some point have said, I think I've got a little bit more in me than this, and I'm going to change my circumstances or learn something new or step into an area of business I never had, and then they just blow it up because they're finally stepping into this place of empowerment and alignment.
Yeah. And honestly, I've had clients in their 60s, I've had clients in their 20s. The beauty of entrepreneurship, and this is why I love growth coaching and personal development, is hand in hand with entrepreneurship, because it makes your personal growth directly related to your bottom line. Like if you're wanting to make money, you better grow yourself. You better grow your mindset, grow your belief in yourself, all of those things. So I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. You can be out of your career, you can be a grandma, or you can be fresh out of high school. Literally the opportunities for you are limitless. It doesn't matter what your gender is, it doesn't matter what your age is. It's game on. It's a matter of you. So work on yourself and get yourself a growth coach.
That could be the best graduation present out there. Like, let's start giving all of our grads a little growth coaching sesh before they head off to college. Because all of a sudden you're like with the pressure of what are you going to be? Who are you going to, like, what's going to happen in college? But it's the first like micro minute you've managed your own kind of adult life.
Yeah.
And I think, gosh, I could have benefited from a little growth coaching before I stepped into that college. That's a great idea.
Yeah. I actually had a client last year gift herself growth coaching for her birthday, and she just messaged me. She's like, I think I'm gonna give myself Corina Tripon every year for my birthday.
Yes.
And it was the most like,
that's a great birthday gift.
That was so like amazing and humbling to me, but also how freaking smart is that chick? Like, I'm not gonna buy myself a purse, which I mean, I do love a good purse. I love a good handbag.
We're all here for the purses.
All here for the purses, but recognizing like, this is something that grows, challenges me beyond my initial.
Well, leveling up every year on your birthday, you're going to give yourself a growth coaching session, and you're going to level up like for that next year. Oh my gosh, I'm giving myself that for my birthday too. All right, so as you work with women, what are some of the biggest areas some of the biggest roadblocks you see us place in front of ourselves, and like in ways of our like blocking our success? And do you think they're mostly internal, like the story we tell ourselves, or do you think it could be a combination of both, like external, like juggling the kids, juggling the finances, juggling the husband expectations, juggling peer expectations? Like what do you think?
I think it's all internal, because your external problems have an internal solution. Like it's a matter of you looking at them. So the most common pain points for women when they're wanting to level up and get to the next level is the confidence that they have in themselves and the belief that they have in themselves or in the thing that they're doing. There's just an overthinking, because we are such good problem solvers. We want to solve every single potential problem that we may have in the potential near future if we do this thing.
Right, totally. We're going to have a complete roadmap for any A, B, or C situation. But sometimes we've roadmapped it to the point of keeping ourselves from doing it.
Yeah. Every single time. I mean, be prepared, but also rely on and that's where the confidence piece has to come in. Rely that you're smart enough, good enough, and gracious enough to handle whatever's on the other side. You might totally fail. I encourage clients to fail. It's so good for you to fail. It's like you learn so much from that, and then the lesson that you learn through failure, you cannot learn anywhere else.
Yeah.
So do the thing. But just trust that you're going to come out on the other side fully intact. Like, you're a smart chick. You can handle it.
Well, and then you learn. That, I mean, I think that's one of the massive ways you learn. You're like, oh, well, that didn't work. Yeah. Okay, won't do that again.
Yes. Yeah. I think and your confidence grows in seeing yourself. I tried. I did it. It wasn't what I wanted. But, hey, look at me. I'm okay. And then your confidence grows a little bit more because you know that you can handle that risk. It's not gonna be that worst case scenario that you created in your mind. It never is that worst case scenario that we created in our mind. So you start to look for evidence of, hey, what if this amazing thing this amazing outcome, what if that could happen? And you start looking for the evidence that might be true.
I actually think sometimes we do end up in our worst case scenario. Just in situations of trauma or whatever, things will happen and you're like, this is as bad as I think it could be. Whoa.
Yeah.
But what on the other side of that is you have survived it. Like, it didn't get you. You've come out of the other side, and I think that builds its own confidence in itself. Like, I made it through this really, really hard thing, and I can stand in the light of that warrior, like that warrior pose. Like, I actually made it through this.
Yeah. And I think the ultimate worst thing is you die. And if you come out alive, no matter how tattered you are, no matter how hurt you are, you still came out alive.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think that this is why I love stories of like overcomers so much. Even like Noah, I think it's Galloway, he was on Dancing with the Stars and he lost like half of his body in a blow up. He was in the military, and now he's like a fitness guru, and he just is an advocate for vets, and he like does all of these things. And I love his story so much because he could have just been like, well, now I'm lost an arm and a leg, and my whole life has changed, and I can't be the same kind of dad or whatever. And he isn't. He's amazing, and I think
he's empowered by his story.
Yes,
he's empowered by his past,
and to be more than what he lost. And I think that is like cool. Trauma. We can be more than what we lost, and then we can stand in the light of that power of having overcome that.
Yeah.
Do you ever find people that are really resistant to coaching?
That have already like come into a coaching relationship?
Maybe, like they sign up with you and then you're like, have you ever encountered that? Like, I don't know if I can like break through this or...
Well, yes. I think there's a couple of things. I think women are resistant to growth coaching or business coaching because they want to feel as if they can figure it out for themselves. So I think a lot of women I think a lot of people would benefit from growth coaching. I think everybody would benefit from growth coaching. I truly do. But I think we put this pressure on ourselves to be the expert. And we're going to figure it out. And there's so many free resources. But I also think that that's a way for you to not take full responsibility and step into that thing. Because if you actually say, all right, I'm worth doing this thing. I'm going to invest in this thing. I'm going to commit. Then all of a sudden you have to take an extreme amount of ownership and then shit gets real.
Totally.
But I definitely have had maybe one or two clients where there's just a real commitment to the dysfunction. So they that is just too comfortable, and it serves too much of a purpose for them to where they don't want to grow past that.
Do you always wonder though if you've like planted the seed? Like they might not be there yet.
Yeah,
because sometimes at different places people have come if I've been stuck, people have come, and until I buy into it, like that's it. You have to buy into your own growth. But sometimes it has to be on a timeline where you feel like, okay, enough is aligned over here, or I feel like I actually now have the ability to do this work on myself. Or whatever.
I think the biggest block to growth coaching when you are in a growth coaching realm or personal growth is always going to a victim mentality. So if I have a client who's really committed to her victim story or situation or that mindset, when you're a victim, you are saying there are no options here for me. I have no options. And that circumstance can never be overcome because you are telling yourself you don't have any options. And growth coaching isn't I'm giving you options, but you're committed to staying hopeless. So if you find yourself in a hopeless situation, are you looking at it from I have no options, or are you looking at it from there's an option, I just don't want to take it? Every single time we're told God will never give you something that you can't handle. This does not always
like a
feel
mantra
that
we like repeat to ourselves.
Here's the thing, my mind got blown. I'm telling you, again, He will never give you something that you cannot handle. He will give you giant things that you think you can't handle, but he will always give you an out. There's always a solution every single time. That does not mean that the solution, I think a lot of times we kind of expect God to come in and like zap magic.
Right. I think we expect him to rescue us.
Yes, because we're victims.
I think a lot of people expect to be rescued out of a hard circumstance.
Yes.
But I actually think God's like, I've given you a whole toolbox, sister.
Yes.
Like,
I'm giving you, these are your options. They're just hard work, or you have to overcome this thing. You have to change your mindset. You have to actually believe in yourself. You have to have confidence in yourself. And we're like, no. I just need you to like,
remove this situation, please, or heal me, or do whatever. But I actually think for us to grow fully into God, who God has us to be, we have to use the tools. We have to learn how to use the tools that he's given us, so that we're equipped to head to that next thing that he has for us. And
preach it, sister.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
because I think at times I've struggled in my life in staying in a victimized role. I think when I found out, like the first time the doctors were like, you're going to need to have both of your hips replaced, you need foot surgery, you need to have your knees done, probably your shoulders and your wrists. Like that was to me a bit of an overwhelming, like, and I was like, oh, now I just can't, I can't ever do a marathon. I can't ever really be active with my kids. I can't ski with them. Like I need to just protect this body. And I kind of stayed, so then I just like let it go. Like I let my body go for a while because I was like, I have to have all, instead of where I am now, which is, okay, I am going to do everything I can to be the healthiest version of myself and just research as much alternative options to surgery. And are we dimming?
Yeah, we did. Sorry, my stomach is growling.
It's okay. I know it's okay. We did dim. Anyway. What's going on?
Yeah.
But I think that now I feel so much more like my story is not that I have this disease that's going to cause me to have all these surgeries. My story is there is so much more for me than what this thing might take from me. Like I can be more than the surgeries. I can be more than the illness. I can be more than feeling sorry for myself, honestly. Yeah. And I can also find ways to beat it, like, and to be healthier. And I mean, just, I think it's easy to get overwhelmed by painful circumstances and then feed that. And we often feed it in the way that feels reassuring to us, whether that is actual food or alcohol or, mindless hours of watching TV, like whatever it is, we'll numb ourselves in that, so we can stay in that victim place, I think.
One of the most powerful things about Best Next Steps is that it's literally giving you options. You're teaching people there is always an option, and when you recognize that there's always options, which means there's always opportunity, you can literally have and do anything it is that you truly want.
Well, and I think too, because I have had some pretty overwhelming things happen to me, then also getting out of the overwhelming circumstance felt huge. But I realized that if you give yourself, like, sometimes it's a micro step.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, I am going to put on some mascara today and like do all of the dishes in my sink. And then I'm going to make my bed. Like I am going to tidy up my house a little bit. I'm going to make a really good dinner for my family tonight, and we're going to sit at the table. And like, sometimes it's just I'm going to fold the laundry today and get it all done and put away. Like sometimes just getting ourselves into a point of momentum starts with just one little thing that we do that helps us start feeling like we're showing back up for our life. And I think that so many people get stuck in the doing nothing and just living in overwhelming places.
Yes.
So if I can ever encourage anyone, it's like, let's start with one small thing that you feel like would help you gain a minute of traction.
Yes.
And then let's go from there.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so when you push clients out of their comfort zone, and you know that they're like
every time,
that they're kind of like free falling and like, oh crap. Okay, what happens then? Like you pushed them out of their comfort zone, and they're just having a huge their mind's been blown, and they're gonna start looking at their life a different way. Then what happens?
Then what happens?
Yeah.
I think the pushing out of the comfort zone is having a revelation and having a perspective that is outside of them, giving them a new truth to take on as their own. I think being able to see yourself and your circumstances and your life differently, it blows people's minds, and then walking in that truth. So what happens then is you start to embody this new truth, and you put yourself out there in a new way. And then you assess how that feels and what result it yields. And it's kind of amazing. And it's little steps like that. And that doesn't mean that, I've clicked into a whole new me. No, you've opened yourself up to a new truth, and it's powerful. And it's gonna make you wanna crawl back into the old dysfunction, yes, but you've tried something new, and you understand yourself in a different way, and it changes all of the pieces and all of the dynamics around you. And eventually you start making more steps, more decisions rooted in truth, not into the insecurity and lie and anxiety and powerlessness. Is that a word? Powerlessness?
It is now. We're using it.
Yeah. So it's amazing. And I think people start to take more risk, essentially, because it doesn't all of a sudden seem so beyond them. They have a little bit more confidence and more understanding of this truth that helps them to navigate through what they perceived as really risky. An outside perspective changes everything. Hi, Lacey. Lacey was one of my, I'm super excited because she is in San Diego. And she
Hi, Lacey.
In my Ginger Root collective and one of my clients. So hi, girl.
So fun to see everyone popping on.
Yes, if you have questions, hit us up. Let us know if you have any questions about all of the things.
We will answer. We're here for the questions. Okay, I've had a thought. Then we said hi to Lacey,
Yeah,
and I lost
sorry.
my thought about what you were saying. That was good stuff. Okay, do you find that you're working more with women in a certain industry, or are you open? I mean, like, is your desire, like, do you gravitate towards a certain, like, industry, or more entrepreneurial women, more corporate women, like, what?
It's definitely more entrepreneurial women, but I've also coached women that are in the corporate realm, but wanting to take ownership of themselves in a new way and on a new level.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's very little to do. I think entrepreneurs are motivated to grow themselves because it will yield higher result in their business, because you're running your entire ship at that point. And entrepreneurship is very much like you. So everything comes from you. A lot of times all the jobs are done by you. And so you need someone to really like help you to feel confident and capable in doing big things. But what I find is that career women want to connect with a part of themselves that they've neglected or put on the back burner for so long. It's like they want to feel that they have purpose and meaning, and will push their comfort levels even if their job is, successful. They're missing a piece of themselves. And I love working with those women because the goal for me is to help you understand what makes you powerful, what makes you unique, what's your story, what are your gifts, are you using those gifts, what's your voice, what is it that you need to tell the world. It doesn't really matter what your job is, it matters how empowered you are whatever industry you're in.
100%. And I think corporations who invest in the growth of their employees, not just their business growth, but a lot of corporations are doing a lot of coaching. And years ago, I worked for Northwestern Mutual Financial Network, and they did this. They put all their recruiters, I was a recruiter, they put us all with growth coaches. And it was like, because they figured if they could figure out what was unsticking you, that you would just launch in your career.
Yeah.
And it would be better for the industry, better for your company.
Yes.
And I think that corporations who take the managers or the CEOs or their employees that they want to see level up, I think if they take them through a coaching process, it only grows their business.
Yeah.
And I think they're the smartest companies out there. Honestly, I believe that when they do that, and when they tailor it. So I have a girlfriend in Australia, Julie. If you watch this, I'm talking about you, who went through one at her company, and it dramatically changed her whole life, and then she like launched in her career too. She really stepped it up. She became a lead, and she became a manager, and she's just now, I think now she's being pursued by recruiters from other companies to step in, and
I love that. Honestly, I think what I'm exposed to is entrepreneurs, but you're so absolutely right that it really just matters who's in the driver's seat of that, whatever that vehicle is, if your vehicle is in a corporation or not. And I just think we talked about this earlier, I'm not a woman that is victimized by gender inequality. I'm not going to choose to feel as if I'm a victim to gender inequality or whatever. So I want to lead with empowerment, and I want more women to step forth with empowerment, not stepping from, well, I have to, like, this is unfair and I have to prove myself in this way. Like, just own it, own you, and recognize your power. Because if you are coming forth of a position of disadvantage, I just think it's a disservice to you and the thing that you're doing. Recognize your power instead of dwelling on where you don't have power.
Well, and I heard this quote the other day where it said the universe has ears. And I believe the more that we...
Who said that? Did you tell me that? Someone literally just said that to me.
I might have said it.
Natasha.
Oh, yeah. Natasha said this. She said this. Karina did kind of like a... What did you guys do?
Like a split live.
Yeah, split live. And it was super... Those two... She was with another growth coach, Natasha Hemingway, and those two were on fire. And they were like vibing off each other. And you could just... I mean, from my little living room, I was like, the energy's amazing. But she said the universe had ears, and I wrote it down because I was like, that's so true. And I often feel like if we continue to talk about victimization, then that's like, or inequality in the workplace, and feel like, oh, I can only bring this much because they're not giving women an equal playing field. It's never going to be equal. We listened to a podcast earlier today where they talked about, we were on a live earlier today where she said, we're 100 years from equality in the workplace. Well, and I don't believe that. Yeah. I think if you say that, then that's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes,
and
I agree.
I think that if you say, I am going to go into this field, and I am going to just do my very best to show that I'm worthy of being here. And I mean, I don't know. I just think that you can still set the course for your own destiny. And we have so many women doing amazing things.
Yeah. Don't plant the seed of disbelief either,
doubt,
or disadvantage. Just don't even assume and take what's yours. I think when you truly feel like, hey, I'm rooted in my truth and in my uniqueness. I'm badass in these ways. Let me count the ways to which I am badass, and I will like be an asset to you. You walk in with that posture instead of like, well, do they have a woman here? And what is she getting? I mean, I'm not saying, I don't want to take the female movement back. I don't. Come on, women, you don't have to step from a place of...
We don't have to let someone else's story become our truth.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Because women are continually breaking the glass ceiling.
Do you think there's still glass... Or do you think the glass ceiling is real?
Well, for men and women. I think that they're... Yeah. I think in if we now, okay, let me stop. I mean, because what if there had never been a woman that made as much money in TV until Oprah came along, and then she broke the ceiling, and now the sky's the limit. Like, people are making money.
Yes.
And then Mark was just telling me about one of the Kardashians became like a billionaire overnight with her makeup line or her clothing. I do not know all of the facts about this, okay? But he was telling it to me too late at night for me to process it. But he's like on the day it launched, she stratosphered with her clothing line or her makeup line. I think it's a skincare line.
I think it's a makeup line.
I think you're right. And it was...
I'm not going to pretend to know which one, but I think it's one of the twins.
I think it's
Which
Kylie.
I think they all look like twins. Heidi?
Kylie.
Oh, okay.
No, not Heidi. Kylie. I think it's Kylie Jenner.
Maybe,
I might need...
Kylie Jenner.
I know about Johnny Carson.
Or deny.
I may not know about current pop culture, okay? So...
Unless you're like... Kylie, was it an instant success? Did you become a billionaire?
Well, she worked her buns off to get there for a long time to make this product and whatever else. But what I...
assuming.
Or her people did. I mean, let's just get real. Anyway.
But no, you're right. And I feel like even with the rise of network marketing or entrepreneur, like you decide. No one tells me how much caps my pay or caps my... And that's one of the reasons, honestly, why I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I want to be able to dictate. Nobody tells me, it's up to me to decide what I charge and to stand in confidence that I deserve that I'm bringing the value to merit that. And that is where women do tell themselves, and we were talking about this earlier, we will always undervalue ourselves.
Oh, yes. This was a conversation we had.
That's
before.
On us, sisters. You want to go get paid, you decide that you're worth it. Stand in confidence of that you bring that value to merit whatever charge or price or blah, 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 or salary it is that you want.
I think, and we were talking about this before we went live, I think a lot of reasons women feel like they need to apologize for their pricing or set their amounts lower than what they're worth is because so much of what we do doesn't have a price tag. So much of our life is caretaking. It's raising children, it's running a household, it's volunteering in the community, it's volunteering at school, and there's no monetary value of that. So then we decide that we do want to go out and make a little bit of money or a lot of bit of money, but we feel like we should only say a little bit. Like we should, okay, I'm just gonna basically give you this so that you hire me, but I don't want to seem greedy. But I think
I don't want to take advantage of you. It's like,
even though you're doing a ton of work.
Yes.
And I learned this early on. I ran a catering business for 3 years, and I learned early on that it was so much work, and that if it was going to be worth it, I needed to charge the big bucks in order to feel like it was any value, or else I was spending hours in the kitchen and hours shopping and resourcing food and recipes and creating. And then I was like, I basically just gave them 2 weeks of my time, like to do this event, or a month of my time for bigger event, whatever. So I don't think we should ever apologize for what we charge or why we charge it, or because people can either use you or they can't. So, okay, well on that.
So go get paid, ladies.
Yes,
don't
apologize for getting paid.
Yeah, don't apologize.
Okay, do you have a standard bar for how you define success? Does that even make sense?
Yes. I think that's such an interesting question. To me, it comes back to alignment. If you are fulfilled, you're using your gifts, you're empowered by your story, and are using your voice boldly and creating impact in the world, you get to determine what that success looks like. To me, it just matters that you're activated. Like, your gifts are activated. You're in purpose. You're doing life on purpose, and you're pushing your own limits. I think that's successful. I don't think it's a dollar amount. I don't think it's a type of lifestyle. I think it's you. I think growth is successful when you decide, I'm going to go for something I can't guarantee. I'm going to live in faith and not what I can produce by myself with my own resources here. That's success. So to me, it's alignment. It's living in alignment. It really is. I think for someone to have the freaking courage to use their... I have to use it again. Sorry, Mom.
Oh, she's working on it, Mama.
I'm working on it. I think for you to have the courage to say, God gave me gifts and I'm going to use them, success.
I agree. I think success is different for every person. Yeah, 100%. Okay, what do you suggest for all of us that get caught into thinking traps?
Thinking traps. Okay. Have like a backup plan. Like you have go-to negative remarks. Like you have go-to ways to rip yourself apart. Like you are well versed in them, right? Like you know what your itty bitty bitchy committee is gonna say.
Yeah, and you girls know what a thinking trap is. I mean, we all have them. Like if I ask my husband for a date night once a week, he's gonna say no because we can't afford it. Like, okay, like I want a date night, but I'm already telling myself it's not going to happen. Or I would like 2 hours a week to myself to go to the coffee shop to read or work on my business or just sit there and we'll gather, like whatever it is. And you're already like talking yourself out of how you can't get that time. Or like, I want to start pitching to Fortune 500 companies, and like the thinking trap of all the ways that isn't going to happen. So
yeah, I think that, you might have a better... Did you ask me for a tool? I forgot, sorry. What's the best practice?
Yeah, like what do you suggest for all of us that get stuck there?
Yeah, I think for what I teach is root in your truth, not into the insecurity, because your insecurity is telling you my husband's gonna say no. If I pitch to this person, they're gonna say no. They're gonna laugh in my face. You're operating off of your lie and insecurity and not operating from your truth. So have your truth known. Who are you? How did God create you? How does God see you? Instead of how do you and your worst self see you? Why are you operating from your disadvantage and not operating from your place of advantage and opportunity?
And I think you start there, like that's so important to figure out what that truth is. And then I think you take your best next steps into helping, like, okay, here are all of the reasons why I think it's not going to work. Here are all the steps I can take in order to overcome those. Like, okay, let's just start with the date night. You figure it out ahead of time. It doesn't have to cost money. You could go and sit at a park on a bench for 2 hours and find a friend to watch your kids. Like, there's all these ways around, always to get what we want around the excuses we tell ourselves, I think. But I think thinking traps are real, and I think that they become a habit.
So do you think that taking your best next step is the best defense to a thinking trap.
Yes, I absolutely do.
I see what she did there. Do you see what she did there?
It's one of the ways I've got myself out of those ditches that we dig for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super smart.
Yeah. Okay, so it's almost an hour, so I think we got to wrap it up. I do have to pick up kids this afternoon. So when you look at the last couple years of Ginger Rooted, what really fills you with joy when you take a look over this business you've built? And what are you celebrating in the success of your business? And then where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself?
Girl, we don't have time for all that, so I'm going to answer.
All right, that was a lot of questions, and maybe too many. Sorry. We could sit on here for another hour. I mean, come on. Like, I'm here for it.
Round 2. We'll just get into the second episode next week. Okay, the first part was
what really fills you with joy when you take a look at the last 2 years of Ginger Root?
It's seeing the women that have like come into, I like to think that it's a community, but seeing
it is a community.
It's
just, I've met quite a few of the women now that Corina has coached, and I am like, oh, well, I like you too because she's so wonderful and she attracts wonderful people, and now, like, let's all be friends.
They're just, sorry, my stomach is growling so bad.
I'm going to feed her a sandwich when we're all done.
Or lunch. The women and the cool things that they finally feel worthy and confident enough to step into. Because that's the thing. For me, I don't need to coach you for the rest of your life. I need to coach you so you see your value for your next thing. And then I get to enjoy that next thing with you. I get to enjoy the business. I get to enjoy the thing that you create. I get to enjoy the confidence that you exude. And I get to do community and do life with you as you live in more alignment. And it's like, it's so fulfilling for me to feel like I have this sisterhood of just women that are not afraid of their own power and are not denying their own worth.
I think that's why it's so energizing to be with you when you're also with a bunch of people of your clients, because there is that energy of women who have unblocked themselves and are just reaching for more continually, and then you're like, well, I'm just gonna reach for more too. Like, this is a table full of all of us reaching for more, and it just feels so you get to celebrate that success with them. And that is a piece of your success because you've helped them along the way, and that's so.
I mean, I had a phone call yesterday from a friend and a client, and she's like, I got this position. It's really cool, you guys, and it's definitely going to impact Ginger Root. And she said the first, I had to call you and tell you as soon as I got it. And I don't take credit for her success, but she was so kind to tell me all of the ways that I helped her to position for the success, that it literally felt like it was my like, I got this amazing position. It just felt like so good to celebrate someone's success. And I'm not taking ownership of it, but I'm participating in it. I'm participating in the hard work that it took a little bit, and then I'm participating in celebrating her, and then being able to do life with her. That's the thing. It's like, how cool for me to have women all over the globe who are activated in their gifts. Like, I get to hang, like, these are my homegirls. Like, I get to call Diana up and be like, girl, what is happening? What are you doing? What cool things do you have going on in Michigan? Let's do a thing together. It's just cool. So
that's so, I love that, because I think that when you see people launch well, I keep saying this quote, and I just love it so much. Like, when the tide rises in the harbor, all the ships rise. And I believe that when we lift each other up and help women stand into the truth of who they were made to be, whether it's through a coaching process like you, or just by helping women learn how to take a best next step in a small area of their life to gain traction, I think then when you see them hit what feels like a big milestone or a huge milestone, you just celebrate that, because you know how good it feels, and the trickle down effect of that is huge. I think in our communities, our families, all of those things. Okay, so we're last few minutes, but what there's a few little goals you want to put out there today of where you want to go. What's your vision? Karina's getting ready to move to California, and I think California doesn't even have an idea what's coming for them. They don't know what's coming. And I think it's such a smart move for her. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I see great things there.
Thanks, sister.
I see some of that corporate work that
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm kind of like, we need to talk more about that. We need to discuss more of that because I'm down for that.
Oh, yeah. Those corporations.
Okay, so what am I excited about that I'm doing?
Yes.
Or what was that the question?
Yeah, our goals, like when you look at like, okay, I'm 2 years in and this is kind of where I see myself in the next few, like, or